So we are live and we're so excited because Patty and I have been putting together for you some fabulous speakers as a part of our 7 days to optimize your event business. And this is day 2, and we have a super exciting topic today because we're talking about optimizing your offerings. And we want to bring to you not only our recommendations and our tips, but we want to connect you with some wonderful people that are pros and subject matter experts in these various areas. And we've invited a very special guest today. We have Mr. Donnie Broxson that we're very excited to be here. Hi, Donnie. So Donnie has been in the marketing space for many, many years. I've known Donnie for more than 10 years. And he's not only a part of Acento Multicultural Marketing Agency, he's the CEO, and he has a lot of great experience and wonderful tips. So please be prepared to ask questions. If you want us to go on live with you to do a demo, if you want Donnie to help you through any kind of a situation, we can do that today. So we want to welcome him. So let's welcome Donnie.
Yay.
Hello, how are you guys?
And so Donnie, tell us a little bit more about Acento, about what you're working on now. So many of our friends and our colleagues, and I'm sure a lot of your clients have been impacted by the coronavirus. And so that just has thrown businesses in disarray, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's a lot of experts out there that can give us some tips and some advice to get through it. And that's part of why we are having this live stream with you today, is because we want you to help our fellow businesses kind of really get through this challenging time.
Excellent. Well, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you guys for inviting me. Excuse me. So Acento is a cross-cultural marketing agency. I've been with the agency for about 9 years, I guess, right now. And one of the things that we do is work with our clients to help them reach their constituents, their potential customers in whatever cultural setting or linguistic setting is appropriate to activate that relationship. And so one of the things we really focus on in terms of applying that is overcoming the indifference that tends to creep into our minds as consumers, because we're inundated with so much information these days. One of the things we often talk about is that as humans, not as consumers, but as humans, we hear 5,000 to 10,000 advertising messages in any given day.
Wow.
Everything starts to sound the same at that point, so how do you break through that to create an authentic relationship with a potential consumer that would benefit from your services, that should be connecting with you rather than all those others? Of course, in the age of social media, before social distance, we were able to reach out to people and create associations that way. But as you know, the moment you look at something on Facebook, we even joke about all you have to do is think about something around your phone, and next thing you know, you're getting 50 ads for a certain thing. Visually, it all starts to kind of look the same. We commoditize everything. So the thing that we focus on as an agency, and it's a passion point of mine, is finding ways to distinguish ourselves and to create connections rather than just a communication.
That's excellent. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, and that's super awesome. I mean, there's one thing that we always think about as a small business or another business, any size business, is how do we distinguish ourselves among others? What do we do? What do we say? How do we say it? Where do we say it? Do we buy ads? Do we not buy ads? And so a lot of those are questions that a lot of our businesses have, and really understanding and even working with a professional like yourself can really help us navigate through that. So that's an awesome tidbit.
I was going to add that with small businesses, I think the challenges are that much greater because there are plenty of large companies with greater resources that are out there that are vying for that same dollar that you as a small business owner are trying to get to. The advantage that a small business can have is that you're agile. There's more passion in what you do and what you bring to the table. And so the key is bringing that passion into your communications so that the potential audience connects with that, understands that they're getting something special, a different level of attention, a different level of authenticity in working with the small business. I do think that right now, with the challenges we have with COVID-19 and social distancing, we're all working from home, or in many cases, unfortunately, not working and stuck at home. The opportunity is, who understands that personalization better than a small business? My life has pulled into a very small space in the matter of 2 weeks. Well, I'm going to want someone who understands that in a way that I don't really think that a multinational company could understand. And of course, we've seen grassroots efforts recently, a lot of discussion around support your local business, order food from the mom and pop restaurant in your neighborhood so that they don't go out of business. Well, that sense of supporting small business, buying local, is one of the things that will continue beyond this crisis. And so that's setting up, it's going to be a very difficult period for a short time, but that's setting up a very different potential relationship with your consumers starting in, hopefully, May, as soon as we can get back out there.
So we have different event partners that are joining in, that are, really anxious to kind of figure out how they can, tap into some of that wisdom of somebody like yourself that works with different brands. And I think the value of working with somebody outside of yourself is that you can see and describe things much better than we can. If somebody is an event planner, for example, or is starting a event venue, or has, I'm thinking about some of the folks that are on the live now, they sell cute matching shirts for parties or, celebrations. There's all these different, kind of niche groups and vendors. What thoughts do you have, or maybe what process can you share with us to help folks to take some of that, focus from, the product itself, to taking that step back to who is my ideal client and what might they be looking for? So some of that language to help us to go through that exercise.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really important as marketers that we always have to remember, and even when you're in a small business, you get to be the marketer, the manufacturer, the distributor, you get to do it all. From a marketing perspective, one of the biggest challenges is to remember that your product will always be most important to you. Creating the connection to the consumer and making it most important to them is where the magic happens. So we have to never lose sight of the fact that our perspective on our product is different than anyone else's perspective. And so we have to put ourselves in their shoes as to how they're going to look at our product, at our service offering, whatever we're bringing to the market, and think about how it makes them feel. How do we connect with the meaning in their lives? How does it fit into their reality, into their community, into their plans for an event? And then I think that then driving the connection, if you can tap into the empathy of perspective, to look at it from the perspective of your intended audience, to say, how does this fit into their lives, and then how can I make them feel something about it? Many of you may have heard that in terms of recall and what we remember, we're only going to remember about 20% of what we hear. So essentially, if you start listening, you will have missed part of that. We'll remember 20% of what we hear. We'll remember maybe 30% of what we see. It's when we connect different things and we create a feeling that we actually get to a higher percentage point. And so if you can actually get someone to experience your thrill for the product, to have an engagement with it, to the point that they actually feel some level of an emotional connection of how that fits into their reality, that's when you get someone to actually remember you. And when they remember you, when you get to 75, 85, 100% of recall and remembering you, then the next time they have a need for your product, that you're the person they're going to think of. You're the product they're going to think of. But it all starts with really feeling. So, let's put that into perspective today. The events industry, is going to be suffering right now due to what's happening, and we can't have events for the next few weeks. But your consumer is still feeling something in relation to the events. I was talking with one of my coworkers who was asking me a day or two ago. She's coming up on her daughter's quinceañera in May, and she's put together a huge event. And she's got the caterer and she's got the location. She's already had the cards printed. She went to an enormous amount of effort to design those cards. They've already been printed. She has her mailing list together. The DJ, 100 different details, and she's sitting on 300 invitations at her house. And for an event that's supposed to happen, I think, 3-4 weeks into May. And her question was, well, should I send these out? And of course, we were all on a call and everyone's like, well, realistically, it may not be able to happen in May. Maybe you need to reprint the cards and do it later. But no, if we do it later, we're not going to have this venue. If we're not going to have this DJ. Everybody's booked. We got the right ones. Well, that's the fear, the emotions that your target audiences are feeling right now. It's easy for us on the opposite side of that to view it from the business impact that this is having on our bottom line. To our target consumer, their first concern is not for the business and the business impact that we're experiencing. It's for the social impact that they're going to be experiencing, or through their children, or through the wedding that's coming up, or through whatever the event may be, the birthday, the excitement, everything they had socially and emotionally riding on that is on hold today. So if we can understand and empathize with their experience at this moment and bring them innovative offerings and that help maybe have some sense of that, even though they can't have the event the way they wanted, maybe they can have the event in a different way. Maybe they can get the t-shirts printed about the event and send them out to each individual household, and then get everyone on a screen wearing their shirts and toasting to the new bride or whatever it might be. We're all having, with my office, we had to very quickly switch off and go to working remotely. None of us were really accustomed to it. We're a group that likes to get together around a table and throw ideas around. So we have, apart from having a ton of meetings like this one on camera, we also have weekly happy hours where everybody shares their stories of the weeks, their success of the week. We've done that 2 weeks in a row. This week now they're adding the team is organically adding new aspects to that because they want to feel something more from it. So they're creating drink themes and they're saying, okay, this week is going to be funny hat happy hour. And so everyone's bringing something else. So how can we tap into all of those people's need to still feel something, to feel less isolated, to feel more celebratory, to feel like they're not missing out on something? I think that's where the innovation aspect comes, but also the promise of what we're going to be able to do once this is over. The event business should boom after this is over because there's going to be all this pent-up sharing energy. We're all going to want to be out there. We're all going to want to raise a glass together and say, hey, we made it through this. We're ready for anything. And so I think there's a lot we can learn from it, but we have to really back out of ourselves and look at look at it through other people's eyes to match up to our products.
That's really excellent. And I love how you helped us to get outside of ourselves and think about real life people that are dealing with this right now. We might see this, similar. We had a good friend who was planning a 15th birthday party, and it's everything that they were really excited for. So they set out to Facebook and they asked, like, how can we still make this special? And so I think someone said, let's do a parade with the different cars, and they can decorate the cars. Well, balloons can be a part of that. There's different elements of it that might be a part of it. And it's really, you're right. It's a great time to still help people want to experience and feel things. They'll go all out once we're able to get back to normal. But there is still a huge need to connect and feel that sense of normalcy and still celebrate those big moments together.
And then
Yeah,
one thing, I was going to say, one thing that you said, Donnie, is just be innovative. So I know, Patty, you were talking about your friend who was hosting the party sent out a request to say, how can we still do this? But if you are an event business and you know that all these trends are currently happening, you can be innovative and really kind of show how you can offer these things before people even think about doing it. And then start marketing yourself based on this new trend for now. And then we can, once we get back to whatever the new normal is going to be, but it is an opportunity to be innovative.
I agree. I think that there's those people who will think out of the box and think about how can we capture the spirit of a moment, even if it's not going to look the same as it would have a year ago. We're coming up on graduation season, and I see the Facebook posts from family and friends about, oh, my poor kid, and they've worked so hard, and this was supposed to be this exciting moment in their life, and prom's canceled, and now what can they do for graduation? Well, I think the parade idea, that's an amazing opportunity. I'm seeing those more and more. There's an opportunity for one of the folks watching, or 5 of them working together to come up with a graduation party package that respects social distance, that's the parade of cars going down, that has the balloons, that has packaged meals instead of a buffet, that everybody can sit in their own lawns and enjoy, and a DJ in the middle with individual speakers, or even some of these remote concerts that folks are doing where everyone's tuning into it and everyone's got their party package in front of them and the same music's coming through their Facebook feed, and they're sharing a moment but still being safe about it. The business side of that's still going to happen. It's just going to happen in a very different way. And I think that consumers are hungry for those solutions right now, because those are little moments of hope that actually create a connection, that if you solve this problem today and allow them to feel something they want to feel and celebrate something they want to celebrate, you're going to be their event source for the rest of their lives.
I think of all you said, I just got a new hashtag, the social distance party package.
I love it.
There you go. That's actually what this group is for. And, you gave an excellent example, but yeah, how do we collaborate in new and different ways so that, there is, if you are putting this package together, is there a, go-to DJ that you can go to in the caterer, and then you present the package so that folks don't have to think through it so much, or you're giving them ideas and just being helpful. And I think the other part of,
go ahead.
Oh, one other element of that is thinking about this offer that you currently have may not be the offer that you're giving right now. If you think about if you are a venue, that's a really tough thing right now. But that's part of what we're trying to do, is just think about how we can prepare for the next. But maybe you're really good at something else. And I'm thinking, we have different folks that are on the line that this applies to, but you have a different talent or some other element that you can contribute. A lot of folks in this creative space have that. So maybe it's just, you know, a package or some kind of offer that you offer just right now that's slightly different, that looks different. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're not still that thing, but in order to still have solutions and be relevant and show up for your audience, you think about what is it that you can do right now.
Mhm.
We do have a question online. It's from Jenny. It says, from a marketing perspective, how do you market without seeming opportunistic during an awful time?
Yeah, I think that the empathy aspect is the real key to that. You don't go out and market in the same sales-driven way, expecting a direct response and saying, we have this and the best price, etc. That's not the mindset that any consumer, any human is in right now. But if you market in a way that is heartfelt, that creates a connection, that recognizes the experience that your client is going through today, and say, I have something that I think will be helpful to you right now, and we will do our best to make it a great experience, to offer you this at this moment. It's just backing away from the sales mentality to one of partnership, and seeing our clients as, this is, I think, the first time in human history that we're experiencing something together universally. You know, it's not just at a community level or at the home level, the community level, the market, the state, the country. This is a global experience that everyone's going through together. We shouldn't ignore that we're going through something together. That's happening at the large, the huge global marketers are going through this together at the same time. And if you listen to the way they're talking, there are a few that are tone deaf and have not made any change to what they're doing. There are plenty of others who have backed off and said, you're going through a rough time right now. We understand, because we're all going through it together. But if you need this, we're here to help, and we will be there for you. We'll do our best to deliver in spite of these circumstances. So be there with your customer and walk the path together.
And that's really great tips. I remember just walking past the TV and I noticed, I don't know if it was a car or some type of a commercial, where I'd seen their product before, but it caught my ear because it says, you know, we're all going through a rough time right now. And I was like, wait, what? Someone got in the studio and like updated their commercial. Right. And it just shows that you understand how to connect with your audience. It right. shows that that you're timely, that everything that's happening in the world is impacting you too. And not only if it's impacting you, but your customers and your clients. And you know what? I have a way to still meet your need while you're going through this. So really just being empathetic with the way that you're doing your marketing and acknowledging what's happening in your marketing, people will be kind of heartfelt towards your product as well. So.
Exactly. It's amazing how many have been able to get in the studio and turn something around. It's been one of the most fascinating things is this is unprecedented. We've never created advertising in an environment like this. We're doing it completely differently. And with all of our clients, the ones who are working on a very local level, the ones who are working on a national level. And so we've gone in and been able to find a way to do things. Find the innovation. We've recorded commercials recently that are going to broadcast, in multiple markets with using voiceover talent who happens to have a quiet space in their home. And we send them the script, we record them in the best way possible. That then gets sent to a sound editor who cuts out the dog barking in the background and lays it over the visuals we need. There's always a way you can get your job done. It's just going to look very different than what we did what we would have done 2 months ago. And that's applicable to every possible industry. So I love that I see how so many restaurants have made it where you call in, we'll meet you at the back door, just pull around here. We'll open your trunk and put the food in there so you don't have to touch us. You don't have to, we're not going to give you change. We'll do the transaction online, but we'll bring it to your car. Showing that respect for the shared experience is one that we can do, and regardless of what we're trying to sell, regardless of what we're trying to do.
But no, that's a really important point. I think it's, the restaurant is selling the same food, but they're kind of reminding people I'm here. And the great way to remind them of that is to say how they've adopted new practices, new precautions in support of your safety. So they're totally thinking about what their clients are concerned with. And so, Jenny, when I think about as an event planner, what are some of those big concerns that maybe your clients may have? Maybe they've already booked and they need help finding new, somebody that can do the research and find out which dates are available. Or maybe they're looking to book and they need somebody that's on the inside that can get answers right away. Or they're looking for caterers that have, the A rating, and, you have your top 10 list of partners that are, really diving into make this a clean COVID free experience, or, things to look out for. Or so it's you're reminding folks that you're still there and how you are looking to adapt, so that they do think of you, to your point, Donnie, when it is time to book.
Yeah, and being both of you made a great point. It's be proactive, because the example of the restaurant is like, your customers don't, everybody, I know I don't want to cook every night. And so, you will have to go out and eat sometime, but your customers are coming. So be proactive and think of solutions that's going to continue to help you support your customers through this. And that helps build brand loyalty. They're going to remember, that builds repeat customers. And so if your clients had a party booked, maybe you call them ahead of time and give them an idea versus waiting for them to call you. So I think being proactive is what you both were also saying. I think that's great.
Yeah. I think the proactivity, we're all isolated right now. Someone reaching out to you is an amazing thing right now. When the phone rings and you get to actually have a human connection with someone, talk about something that's not COVID, that's not kids need to do their math and the dogs are going to bark in the background and I need to take care of this, but to talk about something that you really want to, you can actually probably enhance that long-term relationship in really special ways during this time.
What do you think that customers will be looking for from event companies post-COVID? So we kind of touched on that a little bit with what's going on in the immediate future, but what do you think that, just thinking about that perception, some of the things that come to mind that we need to really make sure that we're talking about proactively or, addressing?
Yeah, I think that we're all going to learn an awful lot during this process. We're going to learn a lot about ourselves, but also about where our new limitations are. So we have to be listening. When the orders are raised and we can actually go out and do things and we can get together in groups outside of our homes, it's not going to be business as usual. Will have been very fundamentally changed by this experience. There is no human alive today who can relate to what's going on right now. And so let's keep in mind, what are the things we learned? Where are the things that our customers, our clients are going to be fearful moving forward? How are they going to view events differently? How are they going to view, what's their relationship with food going to be after this is over? Their relationship with someone handing them something if they don't have gloves on. How are they going to feel about being in a crowded space? All of those are things we were going to need to be aware that as a society, we're going to view all of that differently. And chances are we're going to view that differently. It's going to affect us. Hopefully we don't have a recurrence of COVID in the next 12 months. And if we don't, we'll probably slowly start forgetting those lessons. But for the first 6 months after we get to start stepping out of the house again, we're not going to want food off of a buffet. We're going to want individual plates. We're going to want someone serving it with a mask on, with gloves on. We're going to want the opportunity to wash our hands multiple times during an event. We're going to want space to spread out. So, and I've planned parties before, and I'm always like, okay, if they tell me that round will fit 8 people, I'm sure I can make 9 fit on there. No, that round for 8 people needs to have 5 to 6 on it after this. We're going to all want space between us. I think that if you remember that and you proactively to every customer who comes to you say, we've made some changes in the way we plan a party today. We package things differently. We have individual packaging on everything. We have hand wipes over here. We do individual plates or things that are packaged with saran wrap over them. We've made things to help you feel comfortable that you're going to come into this healthy and walk out healthy, but have a good time along the way. And so I think just remembering our reality is shifting, but it doesn't have to be a bad reality on the other end.
Yeah. We want to totally respect your time, but we have 2 more questions on Facebook. Can we get in one possibly?
I don't even know what time it is. I'm having too much fun.
We got 2.
Okay, so let's dive in. So we have from Renee, any favorite podcast or books for marketing or communications you want to recommend?
I have recently started, there's a podcast and there's a book from essentially the same guy out of Ogilvy in London. Ogilvy is a big international advertising agency, advertising conglomerate, and they take a perspective on advertising that's very strategic. And so they have a podcast called O Behave, just the letter O, Behave. And what they talk about is really getting to know the consumer's motivations and look at different ways of thinking by employing behavioral psychology. And it's really fascinating. I mean, even if you're not so interested in the psychology aspect, just the way they're able to take a very simple subject and look at it from a completely different perspective, which I think right now, when we're talking about innovation and adapting to a very different time, is probably a really amazing skill for all of us to adapt. The head of behavioral psychology at Ogilvy wrote a book called Alchemy, and it's essentially, it's kind of the same idea, but with some amazing examples of little twists of how you look at something and how they shift the entire experience of it, the entire perspective, and can drive better sales, greater relationship with your customers, a higher return on the investment. And so those are the 2 I think that I would call out.
Thank you. Okay. Another question. Do you think consumers will spend during the recession on events?
They will spend as much as they can. We as humans, we want to be around other people. We want to celebrate. I think that because we're going to be in a recession, but coming out of a crisis of a very different sort, we're going to have a really strong drive towards human interaction and celebration. So I think that yes, events are going to bounce back pretty quickly. They'll just look a lot differently, as we talked about before. But they'll probably also, the reality is there's going to be less money to spend for many families. And so we need to adjust. Their desire their drive to have that celebration will be just as strong, if not stronger. Their pocketbook may not be quite as thick as it was a month ago. So we take both of those things into account, then we can develop something that meets both needs and still thrive through this.
Well, go ahead, Patty.
Oh no, I was just probably going to say what you were. Thank you so much. This has been very informative and has given us like a whole other perspective on marketing from a global perspective, a local perspective. Your insights were awesome. If anyone has any follow-up questions or wants to reach out to you, where can they find you? How can they connect with you?
You can find me on Twitter or LinkedIn. My Twitter handle is dbroxson, and I check that daily, so you can always ask me questions there. And find me at our website, acento.com. So thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure to talk with you, and happy to do any follow-ups that may arise.
That's awesome. I so appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
I think we leave the meeting.